What's up, War Report family? We are back with another great edition of the Auburn Express podcast, powered by the War Report. Joining me, as he does every single Tuesday, to talk about his power rankers, Chris. Happy Tuesday, man. How's everything going, man?
Mike, happy Tuesday, man. It's going well. It's going even better knowing that in just a couple of short days, I'm going to hop in my car and make my way down to the loveliest little village on the plains for the first ever time, baby. I cannot wait. My guy Dave Shoemate and I, we are going to the Auburn, Arkansas game. Again,
Dave is coming with you.
Dave is coming with me.
Okay.
Fun fact, by the way, I have never met Dave in person.
Oh.
I've never met Cole in person, my other sidekick. So, no, this will be fun, man. We're going to be going to the game, going to have a blast. I'm getting in town, like I said, Friday. Might wander downtown Auburn, just kind of check things out. And obviously want to see the campus and the stadium and just everything Auburn's got to offer. So I can't wait, man. Again, I've never been to Auburn in any capacity, so this will be the first time for me.
Well, I'll meet you down there. I'll meet you in downtown Auburn. The planes will be jumping even more so since Auburn took care of business against New Mexico this past weekend. We're going to get into it. Hank Brown took over the QB1 position at Auburn. But let's review your power rankings from last week. In week 3, you, Chris Phillips, you had Auburn ranked 14th. You dropped them from 10th to 14th, and then you moved them back. You moved them back up, so we'll get to that. Not a lot of movement at the top. Alabama played Wisconsin. People hyped that game. I didn't expect Wisconsin to do much. Tyler Van Dyke got hurt really early in that one. So this was week 3. Let's move on to week 4. Week 4, the biggest mover. Week 4, Auburn. You moved Auburn from 14 to 11, ahead of Kentucky, ahead of Arkansas, and ahead of Vanderbilt. Let me go through the top here really quickly because, again, there wasn't a lot of movement, Chris. Georgia 1, Texas 2. You explained that last week. Ole Miss 3. Tennessee, again, routed their opponent. Alabama took care of business at Wisconsin. LSU snuck out with a win. They absolutely snuck out with a win at South Carolina. Missouri versus Boston College on Saturday. That was a tight contest for a little bit. They ended up winning by 6, I believe. Rounding out the top 10, A&M at 8, Oklahoma at 9, and as I mentioned, the Gamecocks, who honestly I think the refs got them on Saturday. That roughing or whatever that was after the QB definitely turned into a defender on the pick. I'm not sure I agree with that, but Auburn at 11. Now, behind this pick of moving Auburn to 11, you're a Hank Brown believer? Are you buying the hype on Hank Brown?
Mike, I'm hopping on the bandwagon, my friend. I will say this, too, when it comes to moving Auburn up. Kentucky for the second straight week. I know the competition was Georgia, but Kentucky, Mike, they haven't scored an offensive touchdown in 2 weeks. Wow. Arkansas was very uninspiring against UAB. You take it with a grain of salt to a degree, but at the same time, too, we still don't really know what to make of Arkansas. But, again, they were really lackluster in that game. So, yeah, listen, I know that the Auburn Tigers beat New Mexico. I get it. But, man, I'm drinking the Hank Brown Kool-Aid, man. The only thing holding me back from having a high level of optimism when it came to Auburn this year was the quarterback position. And we'll find out a lot more this weekend, right? Obviously. But there should be a lot of opportunity there for success. Again, I liked what Hank Brown did. Sure, pushing the ball down the field, but the big goose egg in the interception department, that was the thing that was most encouraging. He was very efficient with the football. This was all without Cam Coleman, obviously. You and I talked about this, and he should be back for the Arkansas game. So all the weapons are there. The pieces are in place. Jarquez Hunter at running back, the wide receivers, the tight ends. Now I think Hank Brown can be the trigger man. So I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm buying on the hype. That's why I moved the Tigers up. That was a big, big reason why, because I think all the other pieces are there. Now, I know the defense. That's something that I know I saw a lot of Auburn folks griping about and very upset about. I think the defense will be better in this game coming up this weekend. But, nah, man, listen, I'm all in on Auburn, man. I'm all in on Hank Brown, and it's actually – I'll go ahead and spoil the surprise. It's why it's led me to pick the Auburn Tigers to beat Arkansas. I'm buying in on it, man. I'm telling you, I think he's going to be the spark. I really do. We could go into a deep dive, but simply put, I think Auburn has to have this game. And I know, by the way, I'll go on record and say,
Okay.
Mike, I picked Arkansas over the summer. I know. But damn it, that was a Peyton Thorne Auburn I picked Arkansas to beat, not a Hank Brown Auburn.
Okay.
Hank Brown Auburn won't lose to Arkansas.
Gave you the out.
Book it.
Well, let's deep dive into Hank Brown on Saturday. Yeah. You mentioned the no turnovers. He did have a throw into triple coverage that was probably turnover worthy. I know Hugh Freeze dug into the tape with him, Chris, and probably chewed him out a little bit for that. So they're going to look to work that out of the system. But in terms of passing depth, Hank Brown threw 3 balls 20 yards or more down the field on Saturday, and all 3 of them were complete. So he did a good job pushing the ball down the field. He threw another 3 balls 10 to 20 or between 10 to 20 yards, and he completed 2 of those. And then in the 0 to 10 range, let's see here. He was fairly accurate. 6 of 9 in the middle of the field, 1 of 2 outside right, 3 of 6 outside left. Perfect behind the line of scrimmage. His adjusted completion percentage was 72%. They credited Perry Thompson with 1 drop, and Auburn kept him upright. But the most interesting statistic, and this is an advanced statistic that really you can only find on Pro Football Focus, they said his average time to throw was 2 seconds flat, which was the big criticism of Peyton Thorne. He was holding on to the ball too long. You and I both saw the breakdown Aaron Murray did on Peyton Thorne and said, you got guys running in open fields of grass and you're just holding on to the ball until you get hit, and that can't happen. Hugh Freeze said we need better execution at that position. Hank Brown seems to provide it now. The opponent has to be taken into consideration here, Chris. New Mexico is one of the worst defenses in all of the FBS, but he did what he needed to do versus a bad opponent, and this is a redshirt freshman getting his first start. So can Auburn build on this? I think so. Now, let's go back to your rankings here. Because to begin the year, you felt like Kentucky and Florida were better programs than Auburn. And I just want to revisit this. Now, Kentucky, credit to them. They gave Georgia the fight of their life. 13 to 12 is crazy. That's a crazy score. But they lost. And so it doesn't matter whether you win by 30 or by 1. An L is an L. Billy Napier, lots of reports that he's going to be fired this week. So I'm shocked maybe you didn't drop them below Mississippi State.
That's going to be the greatest pillow fight the SEC's ever seen there in Starkville on Saturday.
And then Vanderbilt, who had a chance, Chris, to hit the over on the season 3 games.
Had a chance, Mike, to give us that 3-0 versus 3-0 showdown in Como, and they dropped the ball there in Atlanta.
Yes. Bettors everywhere. Anyone who bet the over on Vanderbilt is now you're worried.
Now sweating. Yeah.
This is what they did last year, right? They lost out pretty much and hit the under.
Yeah, they've still got Ball State on the schedule, though. So maybe, just maybe, you can get that third one. And hey, Diego Pavia gets to go to the Plains. No, I'm just kidding.
Arkansas. So let's talk about this Arkansas matchup here to round out the conversation. You've got Arkansas ranked right behind Auburn in this week's rankings. I think that this is fair. These teams, based on how they've performed through the first 3 weeks, look fairly even. Now, Taylor Green poses some problems for Auburn's defense as a mobile quarterback. We saw Dan Pierre last week for New Mexico run wild. He looked like the greased up deaf guy from Family Guy, man. They could not tackle that guy. I don't know what was going on there.
Thank you for that mental image.
It was wild. He's a great athlete. Credit to him, for being able to escape pressure and make plays for his team. But, Auburn seems to have an issue there in the secondary. Now, Kayan Lee is posed to return. He did not play on Saturday, probably Auburn's best defensive back at this point. How do you see this matchup going between Arkansas and Auburn now that you bought the Hank Brown Kool-Aid?
I've bought the Hank Brown Kool-Aid. That's what makes this matchup, and there's many things that make it so interesting. I mean, nobody knows, Mike, what we're going to get out of Hank Brown. I mean, realistically, we just don't know, right? I think the best thing Auburn can do, though, you don't need to be a hero, Hank. Like, you got playmakers around you. You got Jarquez Hunter in the backfield. Like, you have plenty of weapons. you mentioned the fact he was throwing with anticipation, throwing on time. I think that's key. I'd like to see Auburn early in the game work him to some high percentage completions, just build the confidence, right? Get him in a groove, get him in a flow. He can stretch the field. Obviously, we saw it in the deep vertical passing game, but, keep him in positions to where, he can keep Auburn's offense on schedule and get them ahead of the sticks and again, get in a rhythm. I think, honestly, Mike, just to take it to zoom out on the SEC scale, College game day is going to Norman and everybody's talking Tennessee, Oklahoma. You know why we're going to this game? I think this is going to be the best game of the weekend. I think this is the most intriguing game. I think there's the most on the line in this game. Oh, by the way, Arkansas defensive coordinator Travis Williams is coming home, right? He's an Auburn alum.
He's a good friend of mine.
He's going to have a chip on his shoulder. Hey, I expect him to send it at Hank Brown. I mean, I would imagine they're going to dial some stuff up, want to come after him. We'll see how Hugh Freeze, that chess match. Then you got the chess match of Bobby Petrino against DJ Durkin. Like, you talk about these minds in college football, these names that are going to be going after each other. You mentioned the elusiveness of Taylon Green, and I love their offense. Jaquindon Jackson is a real dude at the running back position. I think their wide receiver room is vastly, vastly underrated. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I do, Mike.
Okay.
And I've got Auburn outlasting Arkansas. Like I said, I think this has got the potential to be a wacky game. I think it's got the potential to be that drunk SEC game of the weekend. I think it's got that potential to be kind of like South Carolina LSU was, hopefully without so much involvement from the referees. But on the home field and with a spark from Hank Brown, I think Auburn will outlast Arkansas 37-30 was my final score in this one.
37-30.
Watch the offense go off. We got a guy who's back there anticipating he's going to be able to hit his guys. You've got the balance in the run game with Jarquez Hunter. And listen, Auburn should have a lot of confidence, Mike, going up against this Arkansas team, lest we not forget what happened last year. And I know that was a different dynamic, but there should be a lot of confidence rolling in. So I feel good about Auburn. I mean, listen, this game's a coin flip. This game is much more of a coin flip than a couple months ago when I made the pick I did. Everybody thought I was insane. Having the gall to take Arkansas, right? Like, it is much more of a coin flip now, but I'm going with the Auburn Tigers to get the job done. I like the move with Hank Brown, roll him out there. I think, again, if Hugh Freeze can put him in positions to succeed, which I think he will, I think the offense is going to hum, and I do think it's probably going to be high scoring.
ESPN's matchup predictor has this 58% in favor of Auburn here, 41% Arkansas.
I'm excited to see a rowdy Jordan Hare too, man. I've heard so many good things about it. Look, I can't wait.
The student section has been elite through 3 games. Now, I will tell you, obviously, enthusiasm was waning at the end of the Cal game 2 games ago. But yesterday, or Saturday, I'm sorry, in the rain, the student section hung out. Hugh Freeze has raved about fan support. It's been amazing, and they needed this. I think starting Hank Brown was about injecting some hope back into the fan base. If you follow social media like I do, Chris, people were like, is it basketball season yet? Because if this is what it's going to be like, I'm tuning out. And he can't have that this early in the season. Athletic director John Cohen came out and made a public statement about support for Hugh Freeze and building something takes time, and there are going to be ups and downs during that process. But you've got to show that it's moving forward. And I think, I sat down with Taylor Davis, sideline reporter for ESPN, former Auburn alum, great work she does. We did a great segment where she said, look, that game against Cal, it felt like 2023 all over again. And I think that's what shocked a lot of people. It was like, I thought we left that behind. But as it turns out, maybe Peyton Thorne had not taken the steps that they thought he took. And the wide receivers that everybody dogged out and got blamed for everything, it seemed eerily similar to last year, except for this year, you can't throw the wide receivers under the bus for it because you revamped that whole room and everyone universally agrees that part of this is better. So again, Chris Phillips, I've got you on the record, 37-30.
I've got the Auburn Tigers. Yeah. And last thing I'll leave you with this, Mike. I know you'll probably agree coming from the Auburn perspective. It's always a fun conversation. Who needs the game more? Who would a loss be more detrimental to? My co-host Dave and I, who broke this game down, previewed it, highly suggest, shameless plug, SEC Unfiltered. We've dropped our preview Monday afternoon on this game. He and I disagreed. He thought it was Arkansas that needed it more. I think it's Auburn, Mike. I just, because respectfully, I think the Sam Pittman era in Fayetteville kind of is what it is. Like, even if they were to win this game, there's no guarantee they're going better than 5-7 and that he'll be back next year. Even like the 6-6 bring him back. But for Auburn, this is year 2 of Hugh Freeze. Like, we still believe this can be really something really, really special. And I'm not saying a loss Saturday would just completely erase that possibility, but it would probably erase the possibility of getting to that 8-win mark, which we all agreed was so important they hit.
Yeah.
The optics of it, I think it would be more damaging for Auburn than it would be for Arkansas because of the Pittman era kind of already feeling like a lost cause. So this is what we love about college football, right? These matchups where it's like, it feels like there's so much on the line, and, now we're getting into SEC play and the games mean even more. So again, man, Mike, I can't say thank you enough, man. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to link up with you in person, obviously down on the plains, and experience Jordan-Hare, man. I know it's going to be an electric atmosphere.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. I think Auburn needs this one more, Chris. And if you don't get this one, you may not win another game until November. And I want that let that sink in for the listeners. You got Oklahoma at home, Georgia on the road, Missouri on the road, Kentucky on the road to round out, that kind of SEC run there. You don't play a home game in the month of October. And, all your road games this year are tough. So hopefully they'll get it. Chris, before we get out of here, tell people where they can find your stuff, man.
Yeah, Mike, I appreciate it. At SEC Unfiltered on X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you get your content on social media. You can find us there on YouTube, podcast, secunfiltered.com. Again, everywhere in between, man. Everywhere you get content at SEC Unfiltered.
Guys, that's it for another great edition of the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. If you want more content like this, please hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report on every social media platform. TW Report on TikTok. We're signing off, and as always, War Eagle.